Hello, my name is Martin Turner, and I'm the author of Desktop Publishing with QuarkXPress 2016. Now, today I want to talk about OpenType features. Now, OpenType is the most current version of a long series of type formats which go back before desktop publishing. Now, the original computers used bitmap fonts, the original desktop computers used bitmap fonts, and these were stepped, and if you tried to expand them, they would end up with jagged edges like Inca pyramids. But in the 80s, Aldus PageMaker was introduced as the first DTP package, along with the first PostScript printers. And PostScript enabled fonts to be scaled to any size without loss of quality, and vectors as well. And those two things brought in the DTP revolution. Now, after PostScript Type 1 fonts, which are the first fonts for those, we also had Bitstream, scalable fonts, and various other competitors. And eventually got to TrueType fonts, which were out in the late 80s, early 90s. And although they were invented by Apple, they were in fact mainly used by Microsoft, and the original versions of, I think, Windows 3.1 had TrueType fonts on the screen. OpenType is the latest version of that, and OpenType incorporates all the features of these things, but many, many more things. It's a full programming language and can do all kinds of things. Well, let's go to the screen, and I want to first show you a font called Handsome Pro. I've written some text there. I'm going to just write a little bit more text. In fact, we'll delete that, and we'll type some more. So I just want you to watch really carefully. So I'm going to zoom in. Let's just zoom on that, because I want you to really get a look at this as I type. So did you see that? I'm typing the T. Now I take the H, and the T changes. Did you see the E change as well? Okay. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Now, if I change that, and I'm going to make it not fox but foxes, you'll see that that entire word is changing. So it's not just the most recent letter, but that O changes as well, and that E changes a couple of times. So the quick brown fix, no, fox, that F has changed as well. Foxes jump over the lazy dogs. And again, you see that. And that's a font called Handsome Pro. I've actually got a font which is my handwriting. This is kind of embarrassing, called Martin Pro. Let's look at this one. And you can see how rubbish my handwriting was so bad that the chief master at school wrote in my school report, his handwriting leaves much to be desired. Problem is, it took us 10 minutes to work out what he'd written. But you can see the same thing, the quick brown foxes jump over the lazy dogs. Now, this is not in just any OpenType font. It's got to be programmed in. But particularly with handwriting fonts, you can do an awful lot, and you can have the joiners automatically connect up, so that when you've got a sort of handwriting font, it will always connect up. If you think of the early handwriting fonts like Mistral, then they look like they're kind of joined up until you look carefully. Now, this is never as good as real handwriting, but it's still pretty good. And if you're doing something that's supposed to look like handwriting, it can be quite effective. People have even worked on ink writing machines, so plotters, which will vary the pressure in the pen, but let's not go there. But that's just one thing, but that's built into QuarkXPress. So if your font, there's 71 features that Quark directly supports in OpenType. If your font has got that feature, it will automatically come in when you use QuarkXPress. Okay, a couple of weeks ago I talked about this before when I was talking about preferences, but this is Gaudi old style standard. And here I've got, so if I come down to the OpenType special features in the in the measurements panel here. It's the O in green. And you see quite a few interesting things here. So the first thing we're going to do is turn fractions off there. You see, that's what it looks like. So what OpenType does is if fractions is turned on, and that fraction is built into the font. So let me emphasize, none of this will work unless your particular OpenType font supports these features. They are per font. If it's got a bit of code in that says go to a different letter, so I'm going to open up the glyphs window now. So go to glyphs, and we'll see Gaudi open. It's actually got a letter, a separate glyph for the half. So Gaudi doesn't know, that font doesn't know that that is a 1 and a 2. It's just vectors. But what the OpenType is doing is it's saying when so when fractions are turned on, then instead of showing 1/2, show this glyph here, which is half. Now, Gaudi Old Style, that was part of the Gaudi Old Style features. It's an old font. A new font, which is free, you can download it for nothing, is Volkorn. And it's got some quite nice features as well. So first one is lining and old style numbers. So if I go to the OpenType features, I'll see that's a lining figure, yeah? And this one is an old style figure. So again, I'm going to go to those OpenType features, and old style figures are below the line, and they look better in continuous text. So generally speaking, so let's just turn off. Let's go to lining figures for that. And that looks better as tabular figures. It looks much better when it's in a table, but in continuous text, old style figures look better. Not everything will support it. So what you're going to see is when something is supported, it's there, but when it's not supported, it's in square brackets. So Volken doesn't do small caps. QuarkXPress can still do its own fake small caps. It doesn't do all small caps. It does do tabular and proportional figures. It does lining figures and old style. It does some fractions, though it won't do all fractions. It does ordinals, contextual alternates, superscript, numerator, denominator, and it's got a stylistic set. So that's the numerator. So turn that off, and that drops down to there. Turn it back on again, position numerator, it goes up there. So let's say we've got 5, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to put in numerator. Oh, Vollkorn doesn't have a feature for 5. It's got 1. So if we go there and put in 1 numerator, we'll see that's in there, but it doesn't have a small version for 5. And that's not uncommon, because if we just click on this little, if we click on that character and look for alternates for selection in the glyphs palette, we'll see that it offers various things for 1. But if we just go back to the entire font again for a second and go to 5, then oh, it's still stuck on the 1. I actually have to go to 5. So I'm going to go to that 3. And I'll see that there's numerator denominators for 3, but for 5, what's happening here? So the only changes for 5, as you can see here in the glyphs palette, are that it's got an old style below the line and a tabular. So they've got to be written into the font. And what else is in there? Well, something that people often ask about is an open or a closed A. So you've got these 2-story A's and these 1-story A's. And with Vollkorn, that is the regular A. But if we go to OpenType features, stylistic set 1, these are just alternates, actually has the other A. So if I change that back now, I'm going to go back to stylistic set 1 and change that in. Now, Vollkorn's got a few things, but Gabriola, again, for free, available online, download it, more fussy. So for Vollkorn, you could definitely use that for body text in a good typographic document. Gabriola, we're talking about invitations here and fancy stuff, but these are its stylistic sets. And I think that is set 1. So yeah, and this is set 2. We go all the way down to coming down to the bottom here, stylistic set 7. If I just turn that off, you can see that all those become the regular versions. Let's just blow that up a little bit. The regular versions of the text. And if I go now back to OpenType features, stylistic set 7, we have these florid, almost rococo versions, which look great in invitations, maybe not on your next novel. Well, that's stylistic sets, generally speaking. But now I want to tell you about a favourite font of mine, which is called Chartwell. I just love this font. I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again. Because Chartwell is a special OpenType font where if we look at what it's made of, it's got all these kind of little odd weird characters. I'm looking on the glyphs palette here on the right of the screen. And they just appear to be different like lines. But it's been programmed in OpenType that when discretionary hyphens are turned on, so not discretionary hyphens, discretionary ligatures are turned on, it changes those into graphs and charts. So let's just look at that again. So that's that chart, but I'm going to turn those discretionary ligatures off now. And what we see is A plus 23 plus 56 plus etc. And what I can actually do is if I just change that 23 to 72 and go back to my OpenType features, discretionary ligatures on, and as you can see, I've changed the graph there. So compared to the other one, and what this does is enables you to do graphs and charts on the fly. Now I'm afraid that Chartwell isn't free, and you get it from Font. It is reasonably expensive, but if you do a lot of data where people are always saying, "Oh, can you just slip me in a little chart, a little pie chart?" It can be a lot quicker to get the text sent to you in text format, and then quickly just change it into these things. And you can use conditional styles, which we'll talk about on another occasion, to just make that really automatic. So it really becomes that you can have some quite complicated graphs and charts in the text as text, which you just press a conditional style and it changes it to that full thing. So those are just some of the OpenType features supported by QuarkXPress. If in doubt, look at the glyphs palette. So that's window glyphs, and you'll see what is in a particular font. Some fonts are OpenType format, but they only contain the basic font. Some fonts contain a wealth of typographic features. Now, just before we go, let me say that if you're new to DTP, something you've got to do is learn to use typographic symbols and not typewriter symbols. So if you want to do a dash as punctuation, it's an M dash. On a Mac, it's Alt-Shift hyphen. On Windows, it's Alt-Graphics 0151. An N dash is when you're doing numbers, a range, like 5 to 7. And that's the hyphen, so that's Opt hyphen on a Mac, Alt 0150 on a Windows PC. And the same goes for minus, times. Times is not the same as X. It is its own symbol. Plus minus, you don't do plus slash minus, it's actually the plus minus symbol. The midpoint, the bullet, the degree and the ordinal are different characters. So degrees Fahrenheit or number are different. Use your quotes properly. These are all in the book. They're also, I think, in many places available on the web because they're standard. Well, my name's Martin Turner. I'm the author of Desktop Publishing for QuarkXPress 2016. You can get it from Amazon or your local bookshop. I do hope you've enjoyed this. We'll be back next time with more stuff about QuarkXPress and its real-world applications. Thank you for watching.